I tried to change for love, but I discovered that loving myself is what matters. My name is Maria. I'm 33 years old, and today I decided to open my soul to tell a story that completely changed who I am. It all began when I was 28, in a 7-year relationship with Joshua, a man I loved deeply. He seemed like the right person for me, someone I wanted to share my life with, build dreams with, and grow together. But behind this facade of happiness lay a very different reality, marked by doubts, rejections, and an internal struggle that nearly destroyed me. This story is for anyone who, like me, has felt the need to change to be loved and discovered that the most important thing is to be true to yourself. In the beginning, our relationship was light, full of plans and promises. I worked at a tech company and was building my career with great dedication. Joshua seemed to understand and admire my independence. We talked about marriage, children, travel, and a life together that I envisioned filled with complicity and respect. I was happy, or at least I thought I was, because I had no idea what was to come. I didn't yet know that his family's approval would be an obstacle that would test our love. His family was traditional, with very strict values about what a woman should be. For them, the ideal wife was one who put her family first, who put her career aside to care for the home and her husband. I, with my ambitions and freedom, didn't fit that mold. At first, Joshua tried to defend me, but over time, he gave in to their pressure. This left me confused and insecure. How could someone who claimed to love me doubt our future because of other people's opinions? The conversations began to change in tone. He said that maybe I needed to adjust some things to be happy together, that his family had a way of thinking that couldn't be ignored. I tried to believe that, with patience, everything could work out. But the truth is, I began to feel like I was being challenged to give up important parts of myself to be accepted. And this hurt me deeply. It was as if I had to choose between being loved or being myself. From then on, I tried to adapt. I changed my way of dressing, put aside some professional projects, and started avoiding conversations that might make his family uncomfortable. Each change was a small cut in my identity. I felt like I was erasing myself to fit into a space that didn't belong to me. And the worst part was that, while I did, this Joshua seemed to like the version of me his family wanted more than the woman I truly was. I felt trapped in an invisible cage, suffocated by expectations that weren't mine. The pain of his family's rejection mixed with the sadness of not being defended by the man who claimed to love me. I often tried to talk to Joshua about how it hurt me, but he would remain silent or ask me to be more patient. This left me increasingly isolated and alone within the relationship. I began to doubt whether he truly loved me or if he just liked the idea of a woman he and his family idealized. The final straw came at a family gathering, when his mother said, looking at me with contempt, that a woman should abandon her ambitions for the sake of marriage. Joshua said nothing. I stood paralyzed, feeling the ground slip away from under my feet. It was in that moment that I realized that, to marry him, I would have to become a person who didn't really exist. And this realization was so painful that it shattered something inside me. The decision to break up was one of the hardest of my life. I loved Joshua, but I couldn't keep sacrificing myself to fit a mold that was destroying me. The breakup was accompanied by a storm of emotions: fear, sadness, anger, relief, and a loneliness that seemed endless. I spent weeks crying, not knowing who I was without him, questioning everything I'd experienced. I felt completely lost, as if my world had fallen apart. The first few sleepless nights were long and agonizing. My chest felt tight, my head spinning with confusing thoughts. It was a mix of physical and emotional pain, an emptiness that seemed to consume every part of me. I wanted to escape reality, hide from the pain, but I knew I had to face that moment to find myself again. It was the beginning of a journey of reconstruction that I still didn't know where it would lead. In the midst of that chaos, a little voice inside me told me not to give up, that there was something better, waiting on the other side of that storm. That little voice was my anchor when all seemed lost. I began seeking help, therapy, conversations with friends and family who truly loved me. Little by little, I learned to look at myself with more compassion and understand that it wasn't my fault, that love can't be imposed or conditioned. Therapy was crucial for me to reconnect with myself. There, I began to dismantle limiting beliefs and identify the patterns of self-demand that made me think I needed to change to be loved. Each session was like cleaning an old wound, painful but necessary. Over time, I began to recognize myself as a strong woman, capable of being happy on my own terms, without giving up on my dreams. Rebuilding my self-esteem was a slow and challenging process. I remembered who I was before that relationship and tried to bring back what I had left behind. I went back to school, invested in projects I had abandoned, reconnected with my friends, and learned to laugh again. But, most importantly, I learned to love myself just the way I am, with all my imperfections and strengths. There were still days when sadness overwhelmed me, and I wondered if I would ever find someone who loved me without trying to change me. The fear of loneliness and rejection was great, but the desire to be happy was greater. I decided I would no longer accept a relationship that required me to stop being myself. This decision gave me the strength to carry on, even in the most difficult moments. 5 years after the separation, Joshua came back to me. He said his marriage to a woman who was ideal for his family was a failure, and that he missed the woman I truly was. Hearing this was like opening a wound I thought had healed. I felt sadness, anger, but also enormous relief. I no longer needed him to be happy. I had already built a life with someone who loved me for who I truly am. Today, I'm married to Paulo, a man who respects my independence and supports me in all my dreams. With him, I've never had to change to please anyone. Our relationship is built on respect, trust, and freedom. Paulo encourages me to be better, and I do the same for him. Together, we live a love that doesn't erase me, that strengthens me, and this has completely changed my life. Looking back, I see that the pain and challenges I experienced made me a stronger and more aware person. I learned that self-love is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and that we should never compromise our true selves to please others. The approval of his family or anyone else has never been and will never be the criterion for my happiness. That was the greatest lesson I learned from this experience. If I could speak to Maria from that time, I would tell her to be braver, to not diminish herself to please anyone. That true happiness lies in being true to yourself, and that a love that demands change is not true love, that it's worth waiting for someone who loves our essence, not a version molded for others. I still have moments of insecurity and doubt today, but they're much fewer than they used to be. I'm no longer afraid of being alone because I've learned to enjoy my own company. I know I deserve love, respect, and support, and I won't settle for anything less. I believe everyone has the right to have relationships that elevate them, not diminish them. My story may seem difficult, but it's also a story of overcoming obstacles, courage, and rebirth. I know many people go through similar situations, feeling they need to change to be accepted. I want them to know that it's possible to break free from this pressure and find happiness in who they truly are. It's not easy, but it is possible. The love that's worth it is the one that makes us grow, that respects our essence, and that's willing to face difficulties with us. Those who prefer security to true happiness may not be ready for this kind of love, and that's not our fault. Our responsibility is to take care of ourselves and seek what makes us feel good. Building a career and an independent life has never been a flaw for me, but a defining strength. Today, I'm proud of every achievement and step I've taken to get here. Paulo and I are partners in everything, and this gives me the confidence to continue dreaming and striving for my goals. Life is better when we can be authentic and free. I still clearly remember the times I felt small around his family, the judgmental looks, the silence that spoke louder than words. That rejection hurt deeply, but it taught me that a true family is one that accepts and supports us as we are, and that we can choose that family, made up of people who love us unconditionally. One of the greatest lessons I learned from this experience is that love isn't just about feelings, it's also about actions. Joshua felt something for me, but he didn't have the courage to face his family or protect me when I needed it. This showed me that true love requires courage, commitment, and action. Those who love don't leave the other alone against the world. They fight alongside them. Making the decision to break up was a leap in the dark, full of fear and uncertainty, but it saved me. I stepped out of my comfort zone and began to truly value myself. Life happens outside of your comfort zone, and even though it hurts, it takes courage to take that step and begin rebuilding. Putting self-love first was one of the hardest and most important decisions I've ever made. I learned that my worth doesn't depend on what I do to please others, but on the respect and love I have for myself. This gave me the strength to keep going even when all seemed lost. Surrounding myself with friends and supportive people was crucial to my recovery. They were the shoulder to cry on, the listening ear, and the encouragement I needed to stay focused. We don't have to face our battles alone, and accepting help is an act of courage and self-love. Learning to forgive was a liberating process. Not to forget what happened, but to free myself from the burden of hatred and hurt that only harmed me. I forgave Joshua, his family, and myself for trying to be someone I wasn't. Forgiveness opened the door for better things to come into my life. With Paulo, I experienced what a healthy relationship is. He loves me without trying to change me, and together we've grown, respecting our differences and individualities. This welcoming, free love has changed everything for me and brought me a peace I'd never felt before. If you're reading this and feel trapped in a relationship where you need to change to be accepted, know that there is hope. There's no shame in feeling pain or insecurity, and you deserve to be loved for who you are, without masks or compromises that erase you. Self-love is the first step to freedom. Today, I am a more whole woman, not because I changed to please, but because I chose to love and respect myself first. The happiness I experience today depends on me and the respect I've earned within myself. Relationships work when they're based on respect and authenticity, and that's my greatest truth. I think about what would have happened if I had persisted in that relationship that was destroying me. I know the pain I experienced prepared me for what I am today. Life is made of cycles, and closing a bad chapter makes room for the new and better things to come. I learned to trust my voice, my choices, even when the world pressures me to do things differently. The inner voice that cries out for freedom can never be silenced by external noise. This learning was fundamental to my journey of self-discovery. My journey wasn't linear. I had bad days, setbacks, and doubts, but each day was an opportunity to start over. Overcoming adversity is about trying, getting back up after a fall, and persisting when everything seems overwhelming. I didn't need to close the doors to true love. I just needed to find someone who loved me the right way. That happened with Paulo, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. The love that doesn't demand change is the one that's truly worth it. I'm grateful for having the courage to say no to what was hurting me, for learning that my happiness is worth more than the approval of others. A healthy relationship doesn't require us to sacrifice ourselves to please others. My story may seem full of pain, but it's also a testament to hope. I experienced fear, insecurity, and suffering, but I was also reborn, freed, and learned to be happy with myself. If you're going through something similar, know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Never let anyone erase who you are. Don't trade your essence for acceptance. True love is what adds and strengthens. Sometimes we need to lose to gain more. Life has taught me that I am enough just the way I am. My independence isn't a flaw, it's my strength. My dreams are worth pursuing, and I deserve to be happy without giving up on them. I hope my story reaches those struggling to be themselves. You are not alone. Pain can become strength, and it is possible to rebuild your life with self-love, courage, and patience. You deserve the best. Finally, I'm grateful for the opportunity to share my story. I hope to inspire those in need to free themselves, love themselves, and seek the happiness that only comes when we're true to ourselves. Life is difficult, but we're much stronger than we imagine. I'm proof of that. Even today, when I look in the mirror, I see a woman who has been through many battles and emerged stronger. It wasn't easy to leave behind the fear of not being accepted, the feeling of inadequacy, and the pain of rejection. But each scar tells a story of courage and learning. I'm grateful for everything I've experienced because it's brought me to this point where I can be fully myself. My relationship with Paulo is unlike anything I've ever experienced. He not only accepts my independence, he celebrates it. He understands that I am more than labels and expectations, and that makes all the difference. Our love is a safe space where I can grow without fear of losing who I am. This is something I never had before, and that I deeply value today. During my recovery, I realized how society still harbors many prejudices about what it means to be a woman, a wife, and a professional. The pressure to conform to rigid standards is immense, and it often makes us doubt ourselves. I want this story to serve as a wake-up call so that more people can question these standards and break free from them. Never underestimate the power of self-love. It's the foundation for any healthy relationship and for building a happy life. When we learn to truly love ourselves, we stop accepting less than we deserve and open ourselves to truer, more transformative connections. I know that the journey of overcoming adversity is unique for each person, but my experience has taught me that the courage to say no to what harms us is an act of love and self-respect, and that even when it seems like all is lost, there is a path back to happiness. Today, I choose to live authentically, without fear of others' judgment. My independence is not a barrier, but a bridge to truer, deeper relationships. I know I deserve to be loved for who I am, not for an idealized version molded to please others. I want my story to inspire other women to break free from the constraints imposed by society or their families. Life is too short to live a lie, or sacrifice yourself in the name of love. Happiness lies in being true to yourself, in seeking relationships that respect and value your essence. Even after all the pain, I choose to believe in love. A love that doesn't diminish, doesn't imprison, doesn't demand impossible changes. A love that welcomes, strengthens, and helps us grow. This love exists, and it's waiting for those who have the courage to love themselves first. I know I still have a lot to learn, and that life will continue to challenge me. But today, I feel prepared to face whatever comes my way because I've built a solid foundation of self-love and authenticity. This gives me the strength to move forward with hope and confidence. Finally, I thank you for reading this far. I hope my story has touched your heart and given you the strength to love yourself and fight for your happiness. Life is difficult, but we are stronger than we imagine. And together, we can build a world where love is always freedom, respect, and truth.